Hey everyone, this episode's brought to you by a shoe that fits. What's worse than rolling up into Payless and seeing that fresh pair of Kanye's, you know? But you're an 8.5, and these are a children's 6. It's time for a shoe that fits. How it works is our size engineers, Todd and Jason, will do a full sole analysis to figure out your optimal shoe size and how to get you in the size that fits. What we'll do is we'll chop off the correct length of toe to get you into any size within 2 sizes lower than your current shoe size. There are side effects, but you can read about them on our website. That's www.ashoethatfits.com. Right now, use the promo code FRESH, and you get 1 free 1/4 inch chop with the purchase of any full inch chop. And hey, if you call right now, you're going to get a free pair of sock stretchers. So let's jump on that. That's a shoe that fits. Finally, another Donafart Industries innovation.
Hello and welcome to The Critical Breakdown, the podcast where we start at the bottom of Rotten Tomatoes and work our way to 100% fresh. I'm Max.
And I'm Scott, and today we're talking Rush Hour, rated 60% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
It feels fresh in here, Scott.
It feels good. Was that Febreze?
It feels like a spring morning.
It feels like a lavender Febreze.
Yeah.
Nice and fresh.
It feels like when you're in middle school and things get really sweaty, but then you pull out your deodorant and fix things.
Yeah.
It feels like that.
Yeah, it feels like that classic 6th period fixer-upper.
Yeah.
You know what else was fresh? That intro. You did a good job.
Thanks, Scott. I think you did a very swell job.
Oh.
Because I'm swole after hearing your voice say that.
Okay. That made me a little uncomfortable, but what have you been watching, my man?
Oh, a little bit of the usual and some new stuff too.
Let's start with let's do the usual, then new stuff, and then more of the usual if you have it.
Okay. Let me see how to arrange this. I'll go with the usual with I sometimes bring up Mary Elizabeth Winstead films.
Okay.
And I watched one that's been on my list forever.
What was that?
Smashed.
Yeah, Aaron Paul, I believe.
Aaron Paul. Yeah.
Very cool.
They play a alcoholic couple where she decides to get sober, and it kind of just shows what happens to her life, basically.
Yeah. Does he decide to get sober?
It hints that he's going to try to towards the end, but by then, whatever story has happened has already happened. Yeah. So, and he's not in it the way she was in it. So. Okay.
It got good reviews, I feel like 80s on Rotten Tomatoes, maybe.
It's honestly really enjoyable. I thought it was going to be hard to watch because a lot of films dealing with addiction and alcoholism are rough watches.
Sure.
And people who have dealt with it in real life know it is rough.
Yeah.
But this movie, its focus wasn't just on how that's rough. It was kind of like on the effects of your life as it happens. And the writer, I know, she said it's heavily influenced by stuff she went through herself. I
feel like that always adds just a much more personal
for sure,
film when you can do that.
But for her, she noticed that no movie about addiction or alcoholism ever felt like her experiences. So that was one of her reasons for writing it with the director.
James Ponsoldt, right?
Thank you, yeah.
I only know because
Spectacular
he
Now.
did the Spectacular Now, which I loved.
Which I'm more interested in now because I really enjoyed Smashed. I thought it was good.
You're always baseline interested, though, just because of Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
If she's in a movie, I'm baseline interested.
Yeah, exactly.
She's kind of taken that role I used to have with Zooey Deschanel, where I'd basically watch anything if Zooey Deschanel was in it, just because. Why not? I
feel like every red-blooded American male has the it girl there, you know.
Yeah,
and it rotates. You know, like you had your Zoe phase.
I
think Felicity Jones is mine right now.
That's fair.
Yeah. Aaron Paul and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. That's a realistic pairing, you know.
Their pairing worked. They had chemistry. They had a lot of good chemistry.
How was he in it? Like just his acting in general.
He was honestly, he was really good. I want to see more Aaron Paul. The only issue I had with the role, this is the film's from 2012. Okay. It's like in the heart of Breaking Bad territory.
Yeah, I think that was right. Yeah, in the middle of Breaking Bad's run.
And he's not as intense as Jesse. He is not as dirtbaggy as Jesse. He's like a genuinely okay person who's who's just an alcoholic, basically. He has his issues. He, there's problems to his character, but he's also like extremely likable at the same time.
Yeah.
And while he also is an alcoholic in the film, he's not nearly at the level she is. So he's like functional.
Okay.
But I mean, he's got those baby blues. He just looks at the camera with, and it's just, you're there with him.
Could cut steel.
So I thought he was really good. He wasn't, like I said, he wasn't as tweaky as he is in Breaking Bad.
And I mean, nothing he does is going to be as tweaky as Breaking Bad.
Exactly, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But I do like to see him in new, fresh things. Not
Need for Speed.
Gods of Egypt or Need for Speed.
Was he in Gods for
I feel like he's in that one or Exodus, one of the two.
He's in Exodus.
Okay,
he's not in Gods of Egypt. That was Jamie Lannister.
They're like so close together on Rotten Tomatoes that it's forgettable.
I feel like he's had poor choices of roles. And I don't even know if it's necessarily his fault. Like when Breaking Bad ended, for me at least, he was the best character.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's Walt's story, but Jesse was such a good character and he brought so much to it. And then right after that, he did Need for Speed. Like that was his big shot at a franchise. I think that was dead on arrival, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it was the first big check movie he got offered.
I feel like since Breaking Bad's so well regarded, he still has clout.
Yeah,
to pull.
for sure.
He just needs to pick.
He's got
the
a
right
name.
thing. And his new shows, it's doing okay on Hulu, I think.
Yeah.
The Path.
The Path with
I haven't
Michelle
watched
Moynihan, I believe.
It seems to get.
Else,
It has okay buzz to it that I've heard of it, and not here. I haven't heard that it's bad. Basically,
it's got enough buzz that I know about it, but it doesn't have enough buzz that with my Hulu subscription I've even tried to watch it.
Yeah, same.
But he like Gods of Egypt, or not Gods of Egypt, Exodus, Gods and Kings. If it was a good movie, that's the kind of movie that helps your career.
Exactly.
Because it's not Oscar bait, but it's the kind of movie like a period piece, a historical epic.
Yeah.
If it's made well, that's going to help launch his movie career more. He just needs that one role that fits for him. I think. That one movie role.
I think he'll get there.
Yeah, I think so.
The ball's still in his court.
We're rooting for you, Aaron.
Yeah. What about you? What have you watched?
Man, I've watched a lot of movies, and I've been in a big rewatchy phase. Like a lot of movies from the 2011 to 2013, I've been rewatching. I watched Steve Jobs again the other day. Love it.
Still need to see it.
Yeah,
I read the script.
You said you read the script.
I know the story. So.
That's the highlight. It's an Aaron Sorkin script and everything.
That's why I read it, and then I was like, "Holy, this is great."
It's really well edited too.
Yeah.
But it's just a really cool movie, and I was never fond of Steve Jobs as a I don't know, as a figure. Well, no, I mean I'm not trying to say that, but I always felt like the hype of him was overblown. Like with the success of the iPhone and everything, it just became like a cult of Steve Jobs. But it's just a really good movie. And Fassbender's incredible, and
Kate Winslet.
No, well, she's great. Seth Rogen as Wozniak.
Yeah,
incredible. And their exchanges, it's so good. And that one did really well on a rewatch.
Yeah.
So.
Is that streaming anywhere right now?
No, I don't think. It might be on HBO.
Do you own it?
I do.
Okay, well, I'll just borrow it.
There you go. But as far as new stuff, I watched War for the Planet of the Apes. Big release a couple weeks back, I guess.
I'm going to catch it hopefully within the next week or so.
So I'm not going to do any spoilers, but I will just say I did not like it as much as I liked Rise or Dawn. Dawn, for me, is a very nuanced film with great characters and great, clear motivations that are relatable. And I think it's... I read a quote the other day. I want to say it was David Fincher who was saying that every character in an argument should be right.
Yeah.
Even if the film's trying to paint one way, every character should feel like they're correct when they come to these arguments, because then they're more fleshed out and it makes it harder to, obviously they set you up to root for the apes in all of the movies.
Yeah.
But Dawn did a really good job of having these nuanced antagonists that had very clear and reasonable motivations that you could relate to. And for me, War didn't bring that as much. In the second half, it does a little bit, but it took so long to get there. And I will say that the animation is insane. Like Andy Serkis is incredible with his motion capture and everything. And visually, it's really good. I'm really confident in. It's not Matthew Vaughn. What's his? The director.
Matt Reeves.
I'm really confident in Matt Reeves with Batman. Even though I didn't like this one, some of the visuals that he does in the action, they're very very well done. So I'm excited to see how he handles that. But this one just fell a little flat for me. So it got good reviews though. The whole trilogy has.
Yeah.
And it's done pretty well at the box.
One of the few reimagined properties where the trilogy is more critically acclaimed, like the new work's more critically acclaimed than parts of the original. I mean, the first one's still critically acclaimed,
right?
But the subsequent films kind of
letdowns.
Some were really good. Some were kind of.
But it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, exactly.
For this trilogy, like you can be
solid,
pretty sure.
all three, yeah.
And even though I didn't like the third, I'll still say, I mean, they're all very solid movies. I was trying to think the other day what the best like big blockbuster series that we have right now that's not a comic book property is. And if it's not Planet of the Apes, I would just say it's Mission Impossible, because Ghost Protocol and Rogue
Star
Nation.
Wars?
Yeah, the like Disney tent poles and stuff like that. Like I don't know, those feel like super franchises now, like above your standard 3 films in 6 years.
Yeah, I mean Mission
Impossible is pretty
Fast
consistently
franchise.
Good. Yeah, Fast franchise definitely delivers for their
as far
fans.
as like sheer numbers.
Yeah,
even with the most recent one not being as great as the others.
I still think it did like 900 million or
still
something.
making more money than I can even count. So,
but it's interesting. I mean, everything's moving towards these comic book movies, and it's kind of scary now to me a little bit. Like Disney owns most of the big movies that come out.
Yeah,
and
that's why it's always kind of comedic to me that characters like Christopher Nolan, will fight against things like Netflix. But honestly, Netflix and streaming services, their best chance, like small, new, innovative filmmakers will have to get work out. Then once the work is out, they'll get bigger names done to them. But like, if Christopher Nolan started today as a filmmaker, would never hear of him if he had the same attitude he has right now.
Yeah, like if he made Memento and said, no Netflix, it has to be
theaters
on the theater.
Yeah.
That's not a movie you need to see in the theaters. Memento.
Yeah.
Sure, The Dark Knight, you definitely want to see that.
I mean,
theaters.
once
Dunkirk,
you got a couple movies in,
But no, I mean, for sure. That whole debate going on right now is just so weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Hollywood's afraid of this change with Netflix and Amazon coming in. Well, not so much Amazon, because Amazon's kind of saying, we'll play your game.
Yeah, they're working with the system.
But even Netflix wants to work with the system to an extent. Like, they wanted to release Okja in theaters, but they wouldn't hold off on the VOD release.
Yeah, they just wanted to do both.
Yeah.
Which they have an argument saying that's how we want to do it. We're a company. We should be able to do it that way. I get it. No, it's interesting for sure. It's
like a Hollywood cartel system, but it's definitely a crossroads right now where there's the future, which is going to be delivering in-home entertainment. I mean, that's what everything's moving towards.
Yeah.
And then there's these like last bastions of the cinema, like Christopher Nolan is a huge advocate for only cinema. Quentin Tarantino, same way. And he's even, you got to film 75 millimeter, like old school cinema, non-digital.
There's a big conversation for what could be done. We're going to sidebar here for a second, guys, because this is not our topic today. Yeah. But, I mean, there's a lot you could do with movie theaters to change things up. I've seen people suggest tiered ticketing, where if it's a mid-budget, low indie film, you could change the price where it's a little bit lower than the big show tickets, have tiered ticketing. I'm not saying that's the right answer, but I've seen people suggest that.
I just want to comment on that before we move on. I feel like it's just dangerous because, for one, who makes that distinction between your Class A, your Class B, your Class C movies?
Yeah.
And how does that hurt a small release that comes out? I think about a movie like Ex Machina, excellent reviews, great movie, small release. A24 is a small distribution company. Yeah. If their tickets are $6 versus $15, how's that going to affect their take home? I mean, it's going to affect it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is something to consider if people do go that route. But like I said, I've just seen people throw that around.
No, there's always the devil's advocate for any idea.
And I mean, I guess the idea there is like, McDonald's versus like Five Guys.
Yeah.
You're going to pay more at Five Guys. You're going to get a better burger.
Yeah.
That's not the case here with movies. But, if you want to see the big...
It's like the cost of the components.
Yeah.
It's like you pay more at Five Guys because the burger has better ingredients.
Yeah, so it costs them to make the burger.
Yeah.
While at McDonald's, you're still satisfied with what you ate, but it costs less to make the burger.
Some could even say, ba-da-ba-ba-ba, you're loving it.
Exactly. And, there's all these initiatives now with theaters, leather seats that recline all the way.
Yeah, so...
The whole book your seat in advance.
Which is both good and bad, in my opinion. The good is it's kind of curating a high class isn't the right word, but like a more luxury viewing
Giving you an
experience.
experience, yeah.
But then, I mean, you're paying like $15 a ticket for those, so that's a thought too.
Yeah.
Like, there's an AMC theater near us where it's like that you book online, which is very convenient. You pick out your seat. We had an issue the other day where we were going to see Spider-Man, and you were like, should we book tickets in advance? I was like, there's so many showings.
Yeah.
And we're going
You're
at
like,
10 in the
10
morning.
a.m.
Yeah.
And
we get there,
fine.
and the first 3 showings are like sold out.
Yeah,
So like, well,
yeah.
we should have. But you have that experience versus, for example, the Airsley Grand Cinemas right around the corner. I've had Kara, the manager, on the podcast a number of times. It's a smaller theater. You're not getting those luxury reclining seats, but you can get a matinee ticket for like $5.90 or something.
Yeah. And also you're getting what I call the classic movie experience. Yeah. You're getting the same experience you would have had in the last like 4 decades.
No.
And it just feels good. You don't have to think about it. You just sit in a nice, comfy movie chair and watch a movie.
There's something more personal about it too. At those AMC theaters, like you're sitting next to me at Spider-Man, I have no idea what's going on around me.
Yeah.
Like, you can't see anybody else.
Yeah, yeah.
And not that there's anything wrong with that. It kind of helps with, like, texting distraction and stuff. But it's just a different experience.
It is.
But that's how these theaters are going to have to evolve, I think, because Netflix isn't going away. You can try and keep them out of the Cannes Film Festival. They're not going away.
Yeah.
Okja got incredible streaming numbers in the first, like, week. A bigger audience than this movie would ever get in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So, sure, it doesn't have the box office run, but I don't know. I mean, there's arguments for both sides, but I don't think resisting technological advancement and change has ever worked for anyone.
No, just check with Metallica on that one.
Now I don't get that reference, but
well, they were the ones who fought Napster for MP3 downloads.
Yeah.
At the time, it seemed like the right decision because they were losing money.
Yeah.
But in reality, now everyone streams.
Yeah.
Everyone buys music digitally. I think it's been like 3 years since I've bought like a CD. I know vinyl's had a revival, but for the most part, people buy digitally.
And the vinyls is like a niche.
Yeah, I mean
it's
a revival for for people who are into the hobby.
The vinyls is like the equivalent of having like an indie theater that shows all these indie releases.
Yeah,
it's like watching for a niche audience.
It's like watching film versus digital. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You can't fight technology too much.
I mean, it never works.
Yeah.
Look at Blockbuster.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had so many opportunities to get in.
They
on
jumped
Netflix,
in.
Redbox.
They jumped in on a mailing service, and then they changed it every 2 months until it was terrible.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it. That was right at the end of its run.
We can one day have a feature where former guest Josh and our artist joins, because he was on the Blockbuster plan when I signed up for Netflix, and we compare it every week.
No.
And then he was just like, screw this, I'm switching to Netflix. So
now, like, even doing Netflix DVDs feels like it'd be too much of a hassle.
I know some cinephiles that do it.
I don't have a problem with it, but
I've thought about it, but I don't want to.
What I would need is a big list of movies that I want to see that aren't cheap enough for me to just buy. Like, at this point, the Steve Jobs Blu-ray was probably $7.
Yeah, exactly.
At that point, I'm either going to rent it on Amazon for $5, sign up for a month on Netflix, and then forget to cancel it. Or I'm just going to buy the Blu-ray, and then I own it forever. And I've watched it twice already, so it's paid for itself.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't even remember how we got on this topic.
We were talking about what we've been watching.
Yeah. Well, I've mentioned Okja a number of times now.
Yeah.
That's another one I watched.
I haven't watched it yet.
It's the first, well, I think it's the second big Netflix movie release, but it's the first one since they've really dived into movies.
Yeah.
They've got other stuff down the line, like Martin Scorsese's next film is going to be on Netflix, and that's insane. Like, he's a huge director. Yeah. One of the big 5 probably right now.
It's interesting to see him embrace the change.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you got to do to stay on the cutting edge, just in general. But this is from a pretty accomplished director. He did Snowpiercer. We've talked about him before.
Yeah, we have.
It's kind of like an insane version of E.T., and there's a lot of like anti-environmentalism and anti-corporation in it, but overall it's just kind of a fun kid and its pet movie.
Yeah.
There's a weirdly good cast.
I know he said making the film he became vegan just by researching all the factory farming.
Yeah,
and I get.
No, if you do research that, it's pretty bad. It's gross.
Yeah.
And it's sad for those animals, obviously. But it's just a good movie. I didn't put too much thought into it, but when I was watching it, I really liked it. It made me appreciate my dog even more. Even though Okja is like a super pig, the size of a hippo, I have a super pug.
Yeah,
It's the size of
like a pillow,
a bread box. Yeah. But it's just a cool movie, and it's a really good release. It was one that was at the Cannes Film Festival where it wasn't allowed to be entered in the competition because not getting a theater release, and Netflix is like, well, we want to, but you won't let us. And they're like, oh, but you're listening to VOD. That's kind of where that whole argument started in the mainstream. But it's good. I recommend it. I actually watched it on your Netflix account while house sitting.
Yeah.
But this is a courtesy I think more people need to do. I, after finishing it, rewound to the start so it shows up as not played on your movie list.
Before it like exited out.
Look
at that.
That's called courtesy on a shared account.
I feel like this is directed towards someone. I'm not going to say who.
No, it's
I'm not going to say who.
It's not. I'm just saying, you know.
Well, I appreciate the courtesy because I didn't even
pleasure.
notice that you watched it on my account. So that
There
proves
it is.
it. That proves it. It might have showed up in like recently watched, but it had no bar across
bar.
it. So I was like,
No bar.
That's
Like,
a
that's
mistake.
a bug.
yeah, get your act together, Netflix.
No bar.
Oh, gosh. You know what? You should never touch a podcaster's Netflix account.
Boom. I can already tell where this is going. And I fucking love it.
Just like you should never touch a black man's radio.
What's that a quote from?
Rush Hour.
There it is.
There it is. Bring her back.
That's our first fresh movie, Rush Hour.
That's our first fresh bringer back.
That is our first. That's not a bringer back though.
I guess
Bringer
not.
back is referenced to an old episode. Come on.
There's numerous bringer backs though. There's different.
We're gonna need to
styles.
classify these.
Yeah.
Write a blog post.
The bringer back, regardless, when we bring someone back into the fold on what we're talking about. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like it's more of a bring us back.
Yeah. Bring us back.
Well, Max, what's the plot synopsis for Rush Hour?
A loyal and dedicated Hong Kong inspector teams up with a reckless and loudmouthed LAPD detective to rescue the Chinese consul's kidnapped daughter while trying to arrest a dangerous crime lord along the way.
There it is.
That's Rush Hour.
Does it get better?
What?
Does it get better?
No. Well, Rush Hour 2, debatable.
Debatable.
But
Very debatable.
yeah, I mean, this is your buddy cop movie.
It's your fish out of water story.
It's like a team up thing. Besides buddy cop, it's just like two opposites.
Yeah, opposites
odd
attract.
couple. Odd couple.
Odd
That's what I'm
couple.
looking for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
It's an action comedy.
Action comedy.
It's great.
It's good, man. I like it.
It's the best buddy cop movie ever made.
I
Will not argue. I agree.
can't say that, but it's one of the best for sure.
It's either that or Bad Boys 2. I agree.
I would personally argue my favorite buddy cop movie being the Lethal Weapon series, but this is actually pretty close to it.
Yeah. Lethal Weapon, I feel like, is more serious.
Yeah, but it's still buddy cop as
Yeah.
far as like pure action comedy.
Yeah.
This might take the case for like action comedy cop movies for sure.
Lethal Weapon's action comedy.
Yeah.
Rush Hour's comedy action.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So how did Brett Ratner strike gold here?
Well, you have a charismatic cast.
You got to start with that lead pair.
Yeah. I mean, you have Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. You have just a solid setup. I mean, two people have to work together to solve a crime. It's worked countlessly for any buddy cop movie.
Yeah. For any movie.
Also, yeah, and it respects the conventions within its work, like within what it's working with too. So it doesn't try to be anything it's not.
Yeah.
It's a cop film. It's a comedy. There's action.
Yep.
You're supposed to laugh. It lands all the jokes.
Yep.
Even like uncomfortable jokes, you're still laughing at.
Yeah.
It's dated somewhat because it's late 90s.
98.
Yeah.
When it came
So
out.
there's a little bit of humor that hasn't aged as well, but it's still kind of funny.
For the most part, it does
Yeah.
age well,
Yeah.
though. It's very earnest.
Yeah.
Like, there's no mistaking what it's doing. It never shies away from Jackie Chan being the kind of poorly spoken but clean-cut
Mm-hmm.
inspector from Asia, and then Chris Tucker being the street cop in L.A. And never they fit their roles so perfectly.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And
they balance each other so well.
their relationship seems genuine too.
It does.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they have a lot of chemistry together.
Yep.
Why'd we pick it?
Well, I think the Rush Hour series is iconic.
I'm not gonna argue with you. I
shouldn't.
love. I don't remember the third one. I
Yeah.
think I've seen it, but I love the first two.
The third one is probably the worst, but I still love it.
yeah. By that point, you're just in there.
Yeah.
You know.
The
So-
problem with that one is the scale. They took it big, which was
Mhm.
like a big thing in the late 2000s, early 2010s. I feel like everything had to be huge.
Yeah.
So
It's like the Die
I
Hard
remember there
movies.
was like a bomb in the Eiffel Tower. I think that's what they were doing.
Yeah, they shouldn't even be in France.
Yeah. But this is the one that started it all,
Yeah. What didn't we watch?
There's quite a line here, and we wanted to be careful and pick a really good 60% movie. It's our first fresh movie.
Yeah.
So what didn't we pick? That's what you just asked me.
There's Joy.
Yeah. Joy seemed joyless.
It's not bad. I've seen it.
You seen it?
That's Jennifer Lawrence with David O. Russell.
Yeah, and Bradley Cooper again.
Yeah. It's good, but it's not great, and it's forgettable at
It's
points.
a biopic, right?
Yeah. She's Jennifer Lawrence, if you don't think she's a really solid actress, this is a good one to watch because it shows that she actually does have a lot of talent. I'm not saying you, but
Yeah.
for her naysayers, she's strong in this movie. The movie itself is just kind of okay.
In my opinion, if you want to see good Jennifer Lawrence acting alongside David O. Russell and Bradley Cooper, you should watch Silver Linings Playbook.
Well, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, there's plenty of things. You can watch Winter's Bone, off subject. But Independence Day.
Yeah. This feels like a really good 60%er. It's pretty iconic.
This is the...
I do not like this movie at all.
I wouldn't even argue to get Scott to watch it.
No.
So when
Yeah,
we saw it on the line,
really
we just didn't even mention it.
Yeah. We just both stepped away.
Yeah.
But I've seen it twice.
I like it for nostalgia purposes. That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
I'll watch it every couple 4th of Julys.
It's quotable. I'll give it that.
Oh, yeah.
That's about the line for me.
Ender's Game.
I was shocked to see this at 60% because all the feedback I'd heard was that it's terrible. And that's mostly from fans of the book, though, which I read and loved.
If the fans of the book see the book as like 100, 60 is a pretty big drop. So
no, for sure.
Once I saw the trailers, I didn't really have an interest in watching the movie.
Yeah. Asa Butterfield, is that is that Ender?
Old Aja Butterbeans.
He is an off-putting physical being.
Yeah.
He's like insanely lanky and tall.
Yeah. Asa Stringbean.
Heyo.
We had Hercules.
Another Brett Ratner.
Another Brett Ratner. The Rock.
Yeah.
This one.
Didn't 2 Hercules movies come out around the same time?
There was one
double.
like a year or two before with what's his name?
Penn Badgley. I don't know if that's it.
It's one of the Twilight guys. He has a stupid name like
Penn Badgley.
Something Lutz or Lutz. Matthew Lutz.
Callum Lutz or something.
That's it. Yeah. And that one looked really bad.
I think it got pretty bad reviews.
This Hercules film is good because the whole concept behind the movie is he has this like motley crew with him that makes him look like this iconic demigod. But for the most part, you're like, he's kind of just a normal.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a charlatan, and it builds up to him like doing some stuff, and it gets kind of routine towards the end. But for the first half of the film, it's like really fun to watch them set up stuff to look like he's this awesome godlike creature, and he's just like a normal guy. But then they build towards they build towards the mythology in it. But I really enjoyed the setup parts. Yeah. So
for me, it's hard to watch any interpretation of Hercules other than the Disney movie, which I think is very good.
I've only
it's been
seen
so long since I've seen it, but
the Disney one like once when I was in school and I wasn't paying attention, so I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But I know people love that one. So Sherlock Holmes, Game of Shadows.
I'm such a slut for these movies, man. These Sherlock Holmes movies, they're so good.
It's Guy Ritchie done right.
It's Guy Ritchie done right.
Yeah.
King Arthur was Guy Ritchie done wrong, but I personally like Game of Shadows better than the first one, and they're both good. I
probably like them on par with each other. Yeah.
Game
of Shadows has Noomi Rapace, right?
Yeah. Game of Shadows.
I might like that one a little bit more just because I like me some Noomi Rapace.
Well,
so, I know Rachel McAdams, but after Aloha, I'm not gonna defend her.
Whoa.
Just kidding, Rachel.
Rachel,
kidding.
I would love to have you on the pod. We don't even have to have Max.
Lost Highway.
Can't we talk about Sherlock Holmes?
Man,
they announced a third one.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm excited. What about Guy Ritchie doing Aladdin?
I don't have many thoughts on it yet, but
I have thoughts. They're not good. Will Smith is the genie. I actually kind of like that.
That's probably the only way you could replace.
You're never
going to
replace Robin Williams. You have to do a new interpretation.
Yeah.
But then I heard rumors that this Aladdin is going to be more of like a genie origin story, and that sounds so stupid.
Yeah, we'll see. Lost Highway.
That's David Lynch, right?
David Lynch.
Yep. That's all my thoughts.
A lot of people get lost on this highway.
Hey.
And David Lynch takes you the whole way through.
Is David Lynch's thing
Making
like
you
being
feel uncomfortable?
odd? Yeah.
Yeah, but
Like-
it's not like for the sake of being odd.
Like Twin Peaks, I just don't fully get, and I haven't watched it, so that's probably why.
I think you can watch it and not get it. I haven't watched it either. And
Is that okay, though? Like, is that defensible? Like, for a show to be impossible to understand?
I think intent is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Is it intended to be ununderstandable, or is it the artist making art and you think you might get it, but you're not entirely sure?
Yeah.
There's a question there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
unanswerable basically, but it's I don't know. I mean, I've seen David Lynch things before where I'm like, this is amazing, and I've seen stuff before where I'm like, I have no idea what's happening.
Dude.
But you know,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. If the intent is true, I think it's okay if you don't get it, as long as like the artist was sincere in creation.
He's one of those directors who kind of gets this cult following.
Oh yeah, completely.
And sometimes I get cult followings for certain things,
Yeah.
but that's just one I've never understood. That and like Terrence Malick, I've never quite gotten.
Yeah, I
I've
can't
only tried
speak for.
I've only
for
tried a couple
Terrence.
Malick movies,
Yeah.
but David Lynch, I don't get it either. But respect for his fans,
And then Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Man, I didn't see this because it looked so different from how I pictured the books in my head.
It does look completely different from what most people I think imagined,
No.
but at the same time,
Same
it wasn't.
time, I
it
heard
wasn't,
people say it was good,
Yeah,
but I don't know if they were book fans because the books are just hilarious.
yeah, it wasn't as satirical as the books were, but the comedy landed. I mean, they
Okay.
had good people in the movie.
Yeah.
You have Zooey Deschanel. You have help me out here, Fargo season 1 main character.
Martin Freeman.
You had Martin Freeman. You have Sam Rockwell, and then
I like
you
all
have formerly Mos Def, now Yasin Bey.
He's in it. Does he play Zaphod
I think so. Yeah. So you have a pretty strong cast, and then you have Alan Rickman playing the robot.
Yeah.
So it was really well cast. The movie works well enough as a film, but it just pales in comparison to the source material.
The Hitchhiker's Guide, the first and second book, was the second one the Restaurant on the Edge of the Universe? Is that what it was called?
This, I feel like the movie, I haven't seen it in a while, but I feel like it used some elements from the second one
Okay.
and brought them in, but it wasn't the full thing. It was
Yeah.
just like enough to kind of pad out the story.
Sure.
So,
But those two books are honestly the funniest books I've ever read.
oh, for sure.
I rarely actually laugh out loud when I'm reading, and
yeah.
those two, I
Yeah.
couldn't stop.
Yeah, they like I said, it's an okay movie. It's if you've never read the books, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, and I always
And-
you always got to wonder what positive reviews, if they're where the frame of reference is coming,
Yeah.
and negative, same thing.
And it could have been a lot worse, I'll say. So
Yeah.
they at least nailed, over half the jokes. You could say 60% of the humor. I
Yeah,
guess.
there you go.
Yeah, but so that was kind of our lineup.
Nice.
It was tough to just lean on.
There's even more films
Yeah.
that we didn't list here, but that you could make an argument for. I think 60% is going to be one of those big ones because it's 3 out of 5. Like, it's a very easy
good
barometer to
standard
hit.
deviation there. So I know that's not what it means, but
Okay.
math guy over here.
Yeah, there he is. I just love Rush Hour, man.
It's fun, man. Directed by Brett Ratner, as we said.
Yeah. Who has had a prestigious production career.
He's like produced any movie that's good.
Let's learn something today. So, new segment.
We're trying it out.
Brett Ratner is the co-founder of Rat Pack Entertainment, which has gone on to produce a number of blockbuster franchises, including all the DC Extended Universe movies. They have a 75-picture deal with Warner Brothers. Brett Ratner's everywhere now, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not directing as much, I feel. I feel like, because he did Prison Break, the show. He did that Hercules movie. He did Tower Heist. And I feel like that's the last movie he directed. That was like 2012 or something. I
Yeah.
might be forgetting one, but this production's kept him busy. And if you look at his filmography, he's got Oscar winners on there. He produced The Revenant. He does a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he's in there, man. And I think it's a better spot for him.
On one hand, I do think it's a good spot for him. On the other hand, though, I do think he's got at least talent as a director.
Oh yeah, I mean he can make the pieces move. And stuff like this in Rush Hour, I think Brett Ratner's very strong, and even with Hercules, I thought he was pretty strong.
I say with a franchise like Batman movies or X-Men, which he directed X3, The Last Stand, he is better on the production side.
Yeah,
where
for a very nuanced film, you want him in production.
Yeah.
For more of a upfront, you know what you're getting, action or comedy, I think he handles it pretty well.
For sure. But I'm looking just real quick at his film list here, and every year for the past 10 years, he's had a huge release, like The Revenant, Black Mass, Horrible Bosses, and its sequel. So that's pretty cool to see someone. I don't feel like you see that move too often. I feel like whenever you see a big director on production, it's part of the contract. Martin Scorsese produces his own movies because he's fucking Martin Scorsese. Brett Ratner has kind of gone the opposite way. He's actually formed a legitimate production studio.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, every now and then you'll see the directors, big names turn into producers. To scout out like new guys. You'll see that every now and then.
Okay.
But not like to this level where Brett Ratner's in everything.
I feel like too you see a lot of like TMNT produced by Michael Bay.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I have no base for this. I have no idea how much Michael Bay actually had to do with TMNT.
Does that draw people in?
That's exactly what I think it is. I think it's Transformers. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
You know? And then like Christopher Nolan with Man of Steel. I bet he was more involved, but Christopher Nolan's hands aren't all over Man of Steel. Like his fingerprints aren't there.
No.
Whereas with Rat Pack Entertainment, it's like an actual funding and distribution, like it does all that stuff. So
yeah,
props.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
Little fun fact for Brett Ratner there.
Glad I learned something today.
Let's learn something today.
So who's in this movie?
Well, Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker.
Big names.
Do you think this is either of their biggest roles? I'd say in American films, you could argue that this is Jackie Chan's biggest.
Yeah.
This or the 2010 Karate Kid, probably.
I'd argue this one.
Yeah, I would too. You know what pisses me off?
What?
More people talk about Shanghai Nights than Rush Hour in my circle.
Get a new circle, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Shanghai Nights sucks compared to Rush Hour. Wow. I think one of the Shanghai Nights movies is like in the 80s on Rotten Tomatoes. Either Shanghai Nights or Shanghai Noon.
She meant like set in the 80s, and I was like,
no.
1880s.
That would be cool, but no.
There's Shanghai Noon and then Shanghai Nights.
Yeah. One of them got really good reviews.
I saw Shanghai
than
Nights,
Rush Hour.
and it actually was pretty good.
Okay. Well, let's not.
Was it Rush Hour, though? No.
We're not talking about Shanghai Nights on this podcast.
Wow.
I think this is Chris Tucker's biggest lead role. Maybe The Fifth Element would be the other one, but he's not the lead character in that either.
No, he's
but
supporting.
It's a really cool role.
He's great in it.
Yeah.
He's just Prince.
Yeah.
You have Tom Wilkinson.
Yeah, he's kind of one of those guys.
Yeah.
Like he's a face you see all the time. He was
Carlone or something.
Falcone.
Falcone's I'm going with.
Yeah, in the Batman series Begins, and was he in The Dark Knight too? Yeah.
Yeah.
Falcone.
He's in Begins because they make him crazy in Begins.
He was a main character in Begins, and I think his only role in The Dark Knight was at the start when Harvey Dent is arresting his whole crew there. I think he's in that. He might not even be in that, but
I don't remember him.
He's in it in some capacity.
Yeah, no, I got you.
And then he was also in Turtle Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah, he was the doctor.
I forgot about that.
He's really good in that one.
And he's got a role. He was in Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Very small role, but he's definitely that guy.
He's everywhere.
Yeah. We also have Ken Leung. I am sorry if I'm mispronouncing that right. If I'm mispronouncing that, period.
Yeah.
He plays Song, who is a henchman of your main villain of Jun Tao.
You know this is the late 90s because he has like bleach blonde buzz cut hair, like Eminem style hair.
Yeah, but that's kind of in again.
It's in again now.
Cara Delevingne has it.
It's in for the ladies for sure, but no, he looks like he'd be in a 90s hip hop video in the best way.
For sure. He is a Lost alum though, so I like that.
Yeah.
He played. Yeah. It'll take me too long to think of his character's name, so I'm not gonna.
fast forward a little bit,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
man.
that's who he played.
Yeah,
And then he was also in X3, another Ratner.
yeah. What's funny is he was listed as a character named Kid Omega.
Yeah.
But they call him Quills at one point.
Quentin, Quiles.
But his name's like Quentin Quire. But
Yeah.
it's supposed to be they messed up his name basically and put him as a different X-Men character. So
he was the one who had all the spikes that shot
yeah,
out.
he looked like a pufferfish.
Yeah.
You had Chris Penn, Sean Penn's little brother.
Yeah. He was like a weird criminal.
Yeah.
He was a pretty serious criminal too. Like he was selling bombs.
Yeah, yeah. And they were just like, lock him up.
They had him in like a minimum security prison too.
Pre 9/11.
There it is.
Then you kind of round this out with Elizabeth Peña.
Yeah, she played, what was the character's name? Not Ramirez.
I feel like it was like Carmen or I don't even know. We're just being just
This
racist
might be
right now.
racist,
So,
but
yeah.
I was actually surprised at how little romance there was. This
Yeah.
seems like the movie, if this were a rotten movie, and it's not, and I'm so happy we say that now, this would have a shitty romance tacked on between Chris Tucker
I think
and
they
her.
did that in the sequel, which I still
probably.
love.
Yeah.
But-
it's great.
But they definitely had some like romance more
Yeah.
pushed in there. And
Didn't
kinda-
they have one for Jackie Chan, though?
One of them was
Yeah.
interested in Rosalind Sanchez. I think that's her name in the sequel.
Yeah.
And so they went with like a sexier Latina.
Yeah.
And in this, like you have a very cute Latina.
sure.
And I like her character. I thought she was pretty fun. I wish there was more of her.
Yeah,
Or
she's not a major character.
Just more
in any
developed.
way.
Yeah, I mean she's minor. She does what she
Yeah.
needs to do. So.
She's able to quip at Chris Tucker's Carter.
and
quite a bit.
that's good.
Yeah.
Um,
How about Zima?
who's that?
That was the consul, Han.
Was he from anything else? Do you know
He
him?
was in 2016's Arrival
Nice.
as the Chinese, I don't think he was prime
Consul?
minister, but
Okay.
maybe military director.
Gotcha. He was fine.
Again, not much. This is truly a two-person movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, even like Ken Long and Tom Wilkinson's character, who are your main antagonists, they don't have much to do.
Yeah.
It's all about Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
A movie like this, you bring that much talent in, the relationship should be based purely around the two of them.
This was Jackie Chan's first like full English role where
Mhm.
he wasn't dubbed.
Yeah, I think Brett Ratner. I'm sorry, am I getting an echo? I feel like I'm hearing an echo, but maybe it's just the difference between.
It's just the difference.
Okay, I'm
There's like
sorry.
a 1 millisecond
I've been listening
delay.
to it.
Yeah.
and it's been in my head. So, yeah, I think Brett Ratner said he wanted it to lend to like some more authenticity to the role,
Mm-hmm.
and it's never really distracting, which is good.
Yeah.
It kind of plays into some bits.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
thought it was great,
They don't
honestly.
understand
Yeah.
him. Yeah. But I can't even think of what movies would have been American releases that were dubbed over.
With him speaking English and then dubbed over, I don't know off the top of my
Oh.
head. But any of his movies released up to this point were definitely dubbed.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I remember seeing Rumble in the Bronx when it came out. We were pretty excited about
Rumble in
that.
the Bronx is
so,
great.
Yeah. Let's talk casting for a second.
Yeah.
I think
Great
most
cast.
people are going to know the plot to Rush Hour, but we can touch on that in a second.
Sure.
Casting, this was originally pitched with Martin Lawrence as
Yes.
Carter. Glad they didn't
movie.
go that route.
Chris Tucker owns this role.
Yeah, and when Lawrence is good, he's good.
It's
But
a different kind of good.
It's a different kind of good,
Yeah.
and I feel like he was good in his show, and he's been good in other stuff randomly, but Chris Tucker is more consistently good, especially in this role.
This role, with the goofballness of it, is perfect for Chris Tucker.
Oh,
Martin
yeah.
Lawrence's version would be too serious.
And Chris Tucker actually is, I mean, he's pretty fit, and he's a tall
Yeah.
guy, so, like, he's believable as
Yeah.
a cop.
Well, Martin Lawrence was in the Bad Boys series.
Yeah, I
too,
mean,
so
he is fit, too.
He's
but I'm
got
just
his
saying,
buddy cop
Yeah, yeah.
movies.
It's just, like, I buy this character. The authenticity is there, like you
Yeah.
said. So
Plus, it's such a good foil to Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan's character is never going to be, I mean, he's kind of goofy, but he's never going to be slapstick,
Yeah.
and he's never going to be the comedic foil to a serious cop, I don't feel like.
And to spoil your soup here a little bit more, the original idea with Martin Lawrence was Chris Farley.
Martin Lawrence and Chris Farley?
When this was originally pitched, that's who they were
Huh.
thinking.
Were they going to whitewash it? Was he still
It
gonna
wasn't
be a
going to
Chinaman?
be a China thing. It was just these two
Wait,
characters.
am I allowed to say Chinaman?
I don't think so.
All right, I won't again.
We'll just drop that.
No, keep it in.
Yeah, so that's what they first thought.
I'm
And
glad
then
that they stopped.
the studios got the idea to do the two culture mix, so they started pulling away from Chris Farley. Spoilers: Chris Farley did pass away. He died, so that was just off the table then. And as they developed the movie more, they thought of some other people. Eddie Murphy was once considered for it.
That could have worked, but
yeah,
I don't even want to picture anyone
Dave
else.
Chappelle was once
Okay, I
considered.
kind of want to picture Dave Chappelle.
That would be okay. I'd like to see Dave Chappelle in a buddy cop movie.
Not Rush Hour,
Not
but,
Rush Hour.
but a buddy cop. Who do
Yeah.
you pair him up with?
At this time period, that's tough.
No, now. We're making
Now?
it now.
We're making it now. Oof. Let's think.
I feel like we want a very by the books but bumbling cop. Jason Sudeikis.
I can't see them having chemistry.
Well, just get him in that room, man.
I could even see maybe more like a Steve Carell type of thing, like an old cop with a younger guy.
Okay. It's hard even now to picture Steve Carell in comedies.
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's such a good dramatic actor.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
proven that. But he is still funny. Like, in The Big Short, he's hilarious.
They also thought of your other bad boy, Will Smith.
That could have worked because 98 Will Smith was still just this ultra charisma machine.
Yeah. And then lastly, at some point, they considered Tupac Shakur.
Tupac.
Which would have been way too serious for the movie we got now.
Yeah, it just makes me think of Takers.
Yeah. So this they hit gold with this cast.
Yeah, I mean, if Chris Tucker was their fifth choice,
Yeah.
they got lucky that pretty much the best person for the role as it's written. And it's always hard to look at these casting decisions because they'd be different movies with anybody else in it. But like if Jackie Chan was anyone else, even Chris Tucker's character changes. Yeah. Because the reason Chris Tucker's Carter works so well is because Lee is so straight-laced and doesn't understand America. It's the perfect thing because Lee this is his first time in America, and Chris Tucker is boisterous, or his character, Carter, he's boisterous, he's loud. It's kind of playing on that image of Americans.
Yeah, he's America.
Yeah, he is America.
Yeah.
But it's perfect in this because
Oh, yeah.
it's not even pessimistic, though, you know? I mean, the first introduction we have to Carter, he's an undercover cop doing a deal to buy a bomb out of the trunk of Sean Penn's brother's car.
Yeah.
And it ends up in a shootout with a bunch of cops shot, and he blows up a street block.
Lethal weapon explosion opening. The whole chief yelling at you. Great setup.
Yeah, and the other thing that makes Carter such a good character, the chief's yelling at him, but he doesn't just like take it.
Yeah.
That's not Carter's character. He is trying to defend himself at every turn. He's like, that street block was already messed up.
Yeah.
And they're like, you destroyed all the evidence. He's like, we still got some of it.
And what I did like, though, they did a little twist on the chief where he's not just yelling. He's like, you did a good job, but you just messed up too much. Like, you got the guy.
So the reason I thought he said that is because the chief had just gotten the call from the FBI who said they need a patsy. They just need a body to distract Lee.
Yeah.
And having just heard that, and with Carter was coming back in, he was like, all right, I got the perfect guy.
Yeah.
So I the only reason I thought he said you still did a good job was to butter him up.
I didn't remember the order, so yeah.
But
if that's
it
the
makes
case,
sense.
It works
character motivation.
Yeah.
I've seen Rush Hour a few times. So the whole reason they get together is the consul from Hong Kong to America, his daughter's been kidnapped.
Yeah.
That's why Lee comes over to investigate it. I think either
they've established there's a relationship.
Yeah.
It's right when the British handed over Hong Kong back to China.
Yeah.
And so there's this established relationship with the consul and with Lee.
Yeah.
This daughter gets kidnapped. We see the kidnapping in the movie. Yeah. And so the FBI steps in, a bunch of character actors you recognize from like random stuff.
Yeah.
And the FBI, they want to not waste one of their own men babysitting this Chinese cop.
Yeah.
So
there's
they're
not
like,
going to be any help in their eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, let's get LAPD in on this.
Yeah.
They're just laughing about it. So that's when we see this whole setup you just mentioned.
Yeah. What's interesting is they sort of set it up like those FBI guys could be bad guys.
I thought it was going to happen the first time I saw this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're kind of talking behind the consul's back. They're like, let's just get rid of Lee. We don't need him. Like this. And it seems like they might be working on it because the kidnapping of the daughter was for a $50 million ransom, which is hilarious these days because $50 million doesn't sound like that much.
Nope.
It's kind of like that scene in Austin Powers Or Dr. Evil's like $1 million, and they're like, okay.
Yeah, that's not that much.
Yeah. But it seems like they could be into it, and part of that is because the scale is so small.
Yeah.
I mean, a kidnapped child is no laughing matter, but there's no beam to the sky. There's no bomb that's going to blow up all of L.A.
Yeah.
There's no nuke that's going to go off. That's what works in a buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
You know? I feel like, and it's kind of like I mentioned earlier, these movies these days feel like you can replace a developed villain with a big conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't work.
No.
I think we've seen that Marvel movies started to get very stale when like Thor the Dark World, Avengers, Age of Ultron, all these movies in a row had these world-ending threats, and it just never feels real, especially when you know that there's 17 more movies in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to destroy Earth
Yeah.
in Thor the Dark World.
And just think of why Marvel's where they're at now, which is Iron Man, and the ending there was a guy stole his technology and is going to use it for bad.
Yeah,
but
it's so
small
personal.
scale. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. That's how you make these good. You make it personal. Lee's
Yeah.
personally invested in this ending.
Yep.
Once Carter finds out he's basically been screwed over and he's a laughing stock to these guys, it's personal for him.
It gives him motivation.
And I mean, then he throughout the film slowly bonds with Lee and is like, we have to save this girl.
Before we leave my digression, I just
Mhm.
want to say, I think what was so refreshing about Homecoming, and to an extent Civil War for me, were that they were back to a smaller scale. Homecoming's a very personal story with Peter and the Vulture.
Yeah.
And Civil War is also, it's like a vendetta. It's not, nobody's going to destroy Sokovia by blasting it into space.
Yeah. Less explosions in the sky is always good.
So I know that's a big distraction, but I
Yeah.
just wanted to mention it's what makes it fresh.
I got you.
But what's satisfying about Rush Hour is the two brands of comedy from the leads are totally different, and they never step on each other's toes.
No.
Chris Tucker has hilarious lines. He still does physical comedy because he's like an electric eel. He's all over the place.
He's like super tall and wiggly somehow. Yeah.
He's got these oversized suits that were a late 90s thing, but they're incredible.
He can surprisingly hold his own in a fight too.
Yeah,
And he's nowhere near Jackie.
no,
but
and
nobody in this movie is. So.
nobody probably in acting is
Yeah.
for like a 30-year period.
Yeah.
But he's not a bumbling idiot. He's a buffoon to an extent because he talks and talks and talks and gets himself into trouble. But he doesn't really mess things up, and that doesn't move the plot. It's other things that move the plot.
Yeah.
But you have that the good funny lines from Chris Tucker and that physical comedy, and then it's juxtapositioned against Jackie Chan's comedy, which is in the combat. Jackie Chan is masterful at using the environment and creating good physical comedy in these action scenes.
Yeah.
I can think of like 4 from this movie that were incredible. You mentioned Rumble in the Bronx earlier. If anyone hasn't seen it, it's like a mid-90s Jackie Chan action movie that's just incredible. But he does things like there's a fight at a pool hall, and he's using the 8-ball and the pool sticks and sliding under the tables, and everything is so tied into the environment, and it's so kinetic, and there's so much rhythm to it that you can't help but smile. And the scene where he's at the consulate, he's handcuffed to a steering wheel that he had disconnected from Carter's car, and he's fighting people while still dealing with that. Then at the gala at the end, he's got that huge, this is the best one in my opinion, he's got this huge vase, I don't know, urn, whatever it is.
It's giant pottery, basically.
Yeah,
there's like
tipped
4
over,
of them.
and he's holding it up, and people are just like punching him while he's doing it. So he'll push it up a little bit and punch, and then catch it again, and then he'll set it back, and another henchman will push it over, and he has to slide over and catch it. It's all just so good.
The punchline with that one is after he beats all these guys up and saves it, puts it right up, sits it there, feels comfortable, walks away, someone shoots it.
Yeah, and it shatters.
And he just looks so frustrated that it works really well.
It all delivers. It all works really well.
Yeah, that's good comedy.
So Rush Hour is a 60% movie, not because the things it's trying to do it doesn't do well.
Yeah,
I think it's a 60% movie because it's just a bit limited in what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
It's not trying.
It's not
there's
highbrow,
no Oscar or anything,
but it's
here
like not lowbrow either.
Yeah.
It's just good.
Yeah,
comedy. I mean,
it's the kind of movie that just delivers to the people who want to see it.
Yeah, there's some smart jokes in here, and there's some really lowbrow jokes too.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of just good situational comedy.
Yeah.
And a lot of good charisma.
One scene in particular that was funny was when they entered that pool hall.
Is this with his cousin?
Yeah, Carter says, just do what I do.
Yeah.
And he kind of dabs someone up. And then when Jackie tries it, the guy's like not receptive. And he's also using the N-word quite a bit. And you know that the Jackie Chan part's going to come up when he says it. Yeah. But they do a lot of restraint with it. Because Tucker says it a few times and Jackie doesn't. And there's another scene where they go to this back room and it's all these guys playing cards and stuff. And Chris Tucker puts on this big show about busting them down and everything. And it turns out to be his cousin.
Yeah.
While he's talking with them, Jackie Chan goes back to the bar. And then he drops the N-word too. It felt so weird because they did show that restraint before. And when they showed that restraint, it was like, oh, you know why? It's Jackie Chan. He's a family actor. He's not going to do that.
Yeah.
And then they just delivered it. And it actually ends up being funny.
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
It's tough to pull off a joke like that. And was this an R-rated movie? I don't remember looking it up. But you would not do that unless this movie was rated R these days. I can tell you that. Yeah, so this was a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
Probably dropped the N-word 5 times at least.
Yeah, mostly in this section.
All in this section. Yeah. And then there was a lot of like shit said. Yeah. Like the word shit. And I don't know if that's not allowed in PG-13, but I feel like you don't see it that much these days. Or at least not as often as it was in Rush Hour.
That's the top of your
that's as far as you can go. And then you get one F-bomb, right? Isn't that what you usually get?
Sometimes, I think.
My favorite line from this movie is at one point Carter is pretending to be Juntao's lawyer. Juntao is this unseen, presumably Asian boss, like a crime boss who's got the daughter for ransom. It turns out to be Tom Wilkinson. Mm-hmm. That was kind of a big turn, and you don't see it coming, and there's no reason to see it coming.
There's
and the villain's not really all that well
once
developed.
You see it, but you have to see it coming. Yeah.
But he's giving this whole speech to like a hostess about how he needs to see Juntao, and he says one line, I think I had it pulled up, but where he basically goes off on this tirade about how he's had a shitty day. He's like, I got a baby at home that's shitting all over my house. I want to see Juntao now. And the whole monologue's amazing. But I think the power of a movie like this is the jokes are funny, and you're always going to find one that's going to make you laugh. Yeah. Even on what's probably my 5th Rush Hour viewing.
Yeah. Like I said, man, I just enjoy it. It's good. My introduction to this film was actually from a buddy in high school who he loved him. And he was like, I got to watch. You guys got to see this because you guys like movies. You'll like it. And I was like, come on, Rush Hour, seriously. And he actually was like, well, let's watch Rush Hour 2 because I just rented it. It just came out.
No.
I was like, okay, whatever. I'll watch it. And I was laughing within like 5 minutes, I think. Probably within the first scene, whatever it was. Rush Hour 2 has this really funny sequence where an office blows up. And I think Lee thinks Carter is dead. Or is it Carter thinks Lee is dead?
No, Lee thinks Carter.
Yeah, Lee thinks Carter's dead, and Jackie just really delivers that whole sequence. Yeah. And then you have Carter wandering the streets of China. It's hilarious, basically. Yeah. So I was in then, and then I went back and watched the first one, and I enjoyed it. Yeah. But
what's cool too about the series is in the first one they're not friends, and they become friends. The second one they're like their characters have chemistry. They're best friends and everything, and it works both times.
Yeah.
The movies are different enough in their relationship that it just delivers. Yeah. It's very good. I honestly, I have basically no complaints with Rush Hour. You could have a more well-developed villain, but it doesn't matter with this plot that much. It still works.
Yeah.
I'm legitimately trying to think of negatives.
I mean, it's the same complaint with any like 90s action-esque movie, which is just, you know it's a movie, you don't mind, but that's about all I got, really.
Rush Hour is a 100% movie for me.
I mean, I got no complaints going in. I'll watch Rush Hour whenever.
I might watch it again tonight.
There we go. Any other thoughts on Rush Hour?
I got a lot of thoughts on Rush Hour, but that's enough for this episode.
Yeah. We'll do
a Rush Hour special.
Yeah.
Max, where can the good people find us?
You can find us rescuing kidnapped kids from weird businessmen. Or you could find us at TheCriticalBreakdown.com. You can find me hanging out with my cousin at the pool hall. Or you can find me on Twitter at Max Rivera Film.
You can find me fresh off the plane from China. Or you can find me at breakdown_Scott on Instagram. Shoot us an email. Are we overrating Rush Hour? Email us and let us know. Then you'll be blocked. But our email is TheCriticalBreakdownPodcast@gmail.com. Give us a rating and a review on iTunes or the Google Play Store or the podcatcher that you're using. It helps us out. It makes us feel good.
Rate your local neighborhood podcast, which is us.
Wherever you are, it's us.
Yeah. You can take us with you wherever you go.
Exactly. Our art's done by Josh Rivera. Our music's done by Jason Brown. His podcast Dog. I feel like I forgot something.
I think you forget.
Next week on The Critical Breakdown,
we're watching Pretty Woman, rated 61% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, we are. I don't have anything. I don't know enough about the movie. I don't know what to say.
It's based off of Roy Orbison's song.
I thought it was based off Pygmalion.
Let's end it there.
That makes it hot.